What's up, people? Welcome to Detox, the design podcast. I'm super pumped for this episode because this is the first time I have had the opportunity to speak to a person with more than 3 decades of experience. That's actually more than my age. She has 33 years of experience, and it's none other than Revathi Kant, who is the Chief Design Officer at Titan. For over 15 years, she's been applying design thinking to different domains. Now, she's had a wide range of experience. She joined Titan when she was just a graduate. Straight out of college, she joins Titan and not in design. So she's had a wide range of experience. She says she ventures out into something new every 5 years to keep herself updated and to apply those learnings into what she loves doing. It's amazing to see, to listen to her, to talk about her experience on various topics. And in this conversation, you can find us talking about culture, the importance of culture, and why it is so important for designers to understand the culture of their target audience. We talk about the process that Titan follows when it enters a new category or a new product when they want to launch. And also, looking to the future, we also discuss the intersection, the convergence of design and innovation. So we talk about how Titan is looking at, especially with the inception of AI, and things are changing so fast, right? So how and what she thinks about AI and the advancements in tech. And last but not the least, as you always hear on this podcast, about design education. Now, we also talk about whether students should go for design education or not. And this is specifically for the parents as well, who are thinking whether they should send their kids to the bachelor's in design course or any other course which would give them a safety net or a safe option. So stay tuned and listen to this conversation. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast, actually. And I'm super excited. This is honestly the first time I'm speaking to somebody who had this, over 3 decades of experience. And it's insane the work that you've done and also the brand, the way it is. And I still remember buying my first fast track glasses when I was in 9th class. And I would wear that to school and I would show it off to my friends. ये मैंने कुछ नया खरीदा है आज. And it was still very new back then. And to see how, in accessories, how Titan has grown over the past few years, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Sanjay. And I think it's my pleasure to be on this platform. Absolutely, to talk to someone, a young design professional. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of learnings in this conversation today. Looking forward to it.
I'm humbled. I'm humbled. Right. So I actually, before jumping into the conversation, I was going through all the conversations that you've had and a few articles that were published, and I went through everything to understand your design philosophy and how you approach design. So there were a few things that I picked up from those articles and the conversations that you've had, which actually sparked my curiosity because, over the past few years, you joined at a very small position and a very young age in Titan.
Straight from college. Yeah,
straight from college.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to see that you stuck around for more than 3 decades.
Yeah, 33 years to be precise. And continuing. Yeah.
I think that's more than my age.
I know. Absolutely. By saying so, I'm giving away my age, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. So Titan has been a fabulous organization. It's an organization which helps you grow, evolve, develop your own personality. As long as you're good at what you're doing, opportunities are plenty to be taken. And it's really up to you what you make out of it. So that's been my journey. I would have never stuck around so long if I was bored even for a day. Right. I got multiple things here, different businesses, different divisions, all of that. So it's been fabulous. And I feel as charged as I was on day one, even today, after 33 years. So I owe it all to my company. It's such a wonderful place to be.
That's amazing. That's incredible, actually. During these 33 years, at some point, you've said that you move to a different field every 5 years or 5 or 6 years. So when you do that, how has it helped in your journey? And I want to bring it to the current generation of designers. So when
Right.
they are trying to do that, so how can they go about the process, and why
Right.
is it really necessary to do that or not?
Okay. Okay. So I can definitely talk from my perspective. I think every move I have made in the last 30 years has only added a lot to me. I believe that, it gives you you bring in a lot of fresh perspectives. You start looking at things differently. Because when you have done a certain thing in a certain way and, and you have kind of mastered doing that, when you change and when you shift and go over and do something else, you're able to apply those learnings into that field, and that's what makes it all new and fresh, new perspectives, looking at things in a different way, solving problems in a different way. The time to move is to when you start getting comfortable with what you're doing. When you think I know it, is the time to say no, now change and start learning it again, but apply the learnings what you learned there here to bring in a totally new perspective. And I believe that helps you to kind of innovate and bring in which possibly you wouldn't do if you continue for very long in one. So that's been my philosophy. But having said that, I'm sure a lot of people just being in one, also you can actually become, bring in that expertise. So, there are two ways of looking at these differences. One is in the early part of the career when I believe that before you kind of settle down, saying that this is what my chosen path is going to be, it is better to do multiple things and taste, various things before you really know where your core strength lie. And that's exactly what I did initially. When I did market research or when I did marketing, before I moved to design, I did multiple things with different business to even figure out where my strength lie and what am I passionate about. And when I moved to design, it was also an accident. I never wanted to do design. It just, so design chose me, and I've been with design for 15 years. But having said that, I've not been doing the same thing for 15 years. So it's right. Initially it was designing, heading design for watches. Then it was more for jewelry. Now I look at the entire organization. So this kind of a movement also gives you a certain kind of, while there is stability, while you're trying to build excellence, you're trying to bring in newer and fresher applications and fresher point of view. So I think, I would say, don't get into an organization, just stick to it for very long, do different, and then you realize what you're good at, what you love doing, because that really helps you in a long run. That's my view.
Interesting. So we're talking about switching and understanding different domains, right? Different things.
Yes.
So is it logical to do it after they've graduated, or should they go for different internships during the course of their, bachelor's or master's?
So during internship also, when they do it, they anyway come to an organization, they are there for a limited period. For if it's a summer training, they're there for 2 months. If it's a diploma, then they're there for 6 months. That gives a very good first-hand exposure. I think that time they should just stick to the project they're getting, because that's the first time they're learning about the organization. That's the first time they're learning about how a corporate world works. They should take the project they get and do their best and, really do it well. But it is after that when they get into an organization and, try to do things. So maybe they have done design of a particular category for, say, a few years. It's time to look at, what can I push myself? You also figure out these are the opportunities in this company. Can I do this differently? So see, all the time, opportunities also need to come your way. So it's a combination of both. Yeah. It's not that you want to do and you can move, but then you need to work around the system. You need to let your boss know that I'm interested, just in case something comes, consider me. And those kind of a little social work you need to do also, so that you are also chosen into it, because nobody else knows your passion till you're really able to demonstrate it, right? And you need to demonstrate it in an organization like this in form of results. So only passion does not work, because you need to create something, you need to design some product or, whatever it is, or a service, and it needs to be, find its way in the market and be successful. And there is nothing tastes better than success, and learnings are good, but you need to learn quickly and, contribute quickly. And that would be the message to young designers, that while you're learning, you're at the job, learn quickly and then start contributing quickly. Don't let the learning session not be too long, because organizations are also seeking results. So it would be important to be, very alert and figure out what you need to do, but not at the internship stage, certainly after you join the company.
Very interesting. Demonstrating your passion and interest. Wow. Now, when we're talking about like launching a product and contributing to that, it brings to my mind that you mentioned something about culture, because India is a multicultural society. And
Absolutely.
I've had the experience of living in Europe for a couple of years. And it's basically, when you go out, you realize, okay, India is like a mini Europe, so everything is there. You change a state, you have everything different, right? So in a market like this, I'm going to quote something that you said. You said,
You've done your homework well.
It was very interesting, because you said the more you understand culture, the better you understand your customer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I'll tell you why I said that. See, because, culture plays a very, very important role in all our lives. Look at, our attitude, our behavior, our upbringing, all of that influences a lot how we grow as a person. So actually, if you go to one particular place, or, the culture is what binds the people. So if you got to create, if you're a designer, if you're a creator, the most important thing you need to do is to understand whom you are creating it for, because only then there is some resonance. What you create has to be appreciated by the user. That is a very important first step.
Yeah.
And if you look at, and hence it is important to segment, all individuals. If you say Gen Z, for example, you belong to Gen Z, but it doesn't mean that we paint all Gen Z in one picture. There are multiple segments. So depending on what product, what category, what brand you're working for, you need to be very clear who is the target consumer. Whom are you targeting? Whom are you creating it for? So once from that huge, broad umbrella, you come and micro segment your user. You say, this is one I'm targeting. So it's very important to understand the lifestyle, the behavior, the needs, the aspiration, and all that influences, and culture being at the center of them. So, even in India, very broadly, people say, North Indians are more flamboyant, South Indians are more conservative, but these are very broad. But having said that, these have influences because there are cultural nuances. So, these things are very important when you're creating a product. So you may create a very flamboyant piece of jewelry with, large spread and all of that for a North market. But for South market, they are very particular about, let's say, the quality of diamond. So the highest quality of diamond, you may create a very small product, but with high quality. So why I'm saying this is because culturally, what culture does to you is really influences your thought process. And that cohort would have a strong influence from the culture on their behavior and their needs and aspirations. So as designers, as creators, it's important for us to understand it. And hence I said culture is very important to understand. When you understand the culture, you really understand that cohort, and then you create products which are for them, and it would be a big hit, and they would be delighted to see that.
Right. So I'm now thinking about the products that Titan creates, because there's a series of products that addresses different cultures.
Right.
Different people. Like, as an Indian customer, the process would be to find common things across all cultures and then design based on those things.
Right. See, there are two kinds of, let me explain. See, when we say it depends on what we are creating. For example, when it comes to watches, watch, this is, has come to us from the Western world, right? So a lot of influence on watch is from what possibly Swiss did and all of that. So it's that kind of a product, right? So here it is more of very modern, and, the way you dress up. And so since we have been influenced by, for this category, we have been influenced from what has come from outside. Let me take a category like jewelry. We have a 5,000-year history of jewelry. And our Rajas, Maharajas, our ancestors, they have all been wearing jewelry. So in this particular category, we are influenced inside out. So here is where a culture would play a larger role than this category like a watch. or a fashion category like a bag. Because people who are, let's say, very modern consumer who is looking at this and, have a very, that kind of a thing, what they look at, irrespective of where they come from, their thinking is bound in a certain manner. But when it comes to cultural nuances, if I take a category like jewelry, there again, there are two kinds of pieces. The pieces which you would just wear for a party and look good versus the piece of jewelry you wear for your wedding. And wedding in India is the most culturally rooted event in one's life. So when it comes to that category, for example, a South Indian thali would be very different from a Mangal Sutra, but they are for the same purpose. So these are the kind of things where you need to really dig deep into the cultural aspect, understand the nuances, and then create the product. So broad is not, everything is not, while culture defines us, every individual is defined by the culture. Depending on the category you're into, depending on the segment and the occasion for which you're targeting, you need to figure out how much culturally deep I have to be in this or how much, out I can be. So it varies. It's not one size fits all.
Right. So when you have different categories of products, so is there a way that you follow? Is there a process, like a blueprint kind of a thing, that when you have, let's say we want to launch a new product in this category or a new category altogether? So is there a process that you follow? Is there a blueprint, or does it change for every category, or how does it happen?
See, the nuances may change, but overall there is a process because, finally, there are certain standard things you need to do to create, irrespective of cultural influence or not. You're creating it for the person, you're creating it for the individual. So starting with the individual, we have a very human-centric approach to design, and consumer centricity plays a very, very important role in Titan in all the categories we are in. So we always start with the consumer. So a very deep driven insight about the user and is very, very important and a first step in our design process. Right. So once you're clear, once you've understood whom it is you're creating it for, and you understand things around the person, other important thing what we look for is, all of us are influenced by what's happening around us all the time, more so these days, right? Yeah. So there are all these, macro trends, micro trends, category trends, geographical trends. So many things are impacting us. Something happening in US or some bank has closed down there has an impact directly on our stock market, our behavior, our sentiment. So we are all so connected. We are all, it's one global society we live in. So I think looking at these trends continuously, hence these are the macro trends, but coming down to a category, the categories we are present in, it's more so in the lifestyle space. So, fashion, colors, the kind of cuts and all of that is influenced. So it is not one thing. So it is always looking at everything around you, synthesizing all of that and say, so for example, I'm just giving you one simple example, though you may not be really interested in the category, but I'm just saying, if you in India, when you wear sari, if the blouse today, what is in vogue is really close neck, right? So jewelry as a category has to think that with a close neck, a necklace will not do well, which is close to neck, but those long ones with either a yard chain or a harem, and those are the kind of things which move. So you need to look at other categories and how are they influencing your categories to be, up to date. Because you see everyone wearing that to look up to date, then you can't be creating things which don't go with that. So there are a lot of these. So I believe that design is not somewhere in isolation. Design is very much interconnected. What we create, we have to do a lot of consumer research to understand where we are. We need to look at the trends, what's influencing all of us. We need to look at what's happening in the field of material. You need to look at, so design research becomes important. Consumer research becomes important. Material, what's happening in technology, all of that on a continuous basis, pulling out the best of it and then creating a suitable solution for the consumer. That's real. And then we always don't just create a product. Our products always, there is a story, there is a theme, there is a deep design story, as we call it. So you pick and choose the right inspiration which suits that. And then a combination of all of three helps us to create something which is a winning product consistently over a period of time. So if you asked about the blueprint, yes, we do have a 8-step design process. The first 4 steps are very, gives you a lot of creative freedom. It's about, figuring out, it's more from, till you reach the concept level. After that, the next 4 steps are more practical, getting into, finally converting that idea into an entity. That's really when all your material constraints, the cost constraints, the manufacturability, the technology, and all of that come into play. The first step is more about, as I said, it is going out, looking at, observation, understanding, gaining insights, and all of that. That really is a first step.
Understood.
Once we have done, then looking at inspiration, deriving the deep design stories, and what we could come up with. Once that is done very broadly, and the trend part which comes in, we have a very elaborate exercise looking at trends and how to marry it and come back to it. All of this is done, then you have what is called the inspiration and the story. And then this whole thing of what should be the concept very broadly at the concept level.
Right.
And once that is done, then you get into form generation and sketching and the RPTs, and slowly that process goes in. Then you have your sharing with your stakeholders. And so that's like a typical process.
Understood.
So, the first four, just open out and think and come up with the bestest idea. The next four would bring in you back to reality. And that's how we look at it. So more or less this process we follow, but depending on the category, the nuances would change how you do it. Yeah. And this needs to be done consistently to get successful results.
Right. Initially, when Titan again has the history of entering markets that were unorganized and fragmented, and then you consolidate the market, right? So it's, if I am perceiving it correctly, it is absolute chaos when it is like a new, fresh thing that you're trying to do. So many things have to be considered. So how do you go through the process? I know it's a long and open-ended question, but if we can just
make it short and crisp. No, see, it is, if you have decided that, this is a category I'm looking at, it could be jewelry, it could be sari, it could be bags. So first step is to look at the market opportunity. Is there an opportunity in the marketplace? So, how big is the market? How many players are there? How organized it is? Can we have a branded play? So that is a very important question for us to answer, because we are in a branded play. So once we figure out that is a huge opportunity, there is something we can do there. And the most important thing Titan always looks at, are we passionate as an organization? Are we passionate about entering this category? So if everything else sticks and we are not really passionate, we really don't go about doing it, because finally we believe that people are the one who make things happen. So it's important to get a lot of people in the organization excited with this prospect. That's when we really. So once you've seen there is a market opportunity, and then you kind of figure out, do various, understanding, market studies, consumer studies, figure out there is a white space for you. Is there something you can come up which can differentiate you from the rest? And our approach is, of course, we start with, looking at products which are always high quality and, differentiated. And using that, we always build a brand which again really stands out. We just don't do, commodity stuff. We create a brand. And once you've created a brand, the idea is to then reach it out to as many consumers as possible, build networks so that the brand is accessible to a whole lot of people. Then go through the process of getting a lot of feedback from the consumer, because you've done it for the first time. Then improvising that. So if you broadly look at it, it is like your design thinking process. So you kind of, you conceptualize, you iterate, then you put it in the market, then you get the learnings, you iterate, and that is what we do. And in this journey, you have to, build imagery, you have to build the products, you have to do a whole lot of things. You build the whole system and you keep doing consistently, making it larger and larger, reaching out to more consumers, and building value back to your business. And I think if that makes sense, if there is only, we enter any category only if we see there is a business proposition.
Yeah.
If it's not, then we don't. So though your question is very large, it is simply that there has to be an opportunity. There got to be a passion to do things. We should see a branded play, and then a possibility of bringing top line and bottom line. And then we build the whole thing around. Right. Every category we have entered, we have done success.
Right. Very interesting. Thank you for summarizing it such a nice manner. So when we're talking about brand, like you just mentioned that we build a brand, like Titan is a huge brand. And when we're looking forward to the future, we're looking at the inception of AI, things that are happening, the tools that have come up. So how is Titan looking at these things? How is it incorporating, let's say, design plus tech? How is it taking? What's your take on it?
Yeah. See, actually, there is so much happening in technology, and there is so much happening. I mean, as we speak, there was a chat GPT yesterday. It could be something else tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, and these things are really disruptive, and they are happening at a very fast pace.
Yeah.
And we cannot be just turning our head this side and saying that it doesn't influence me. It does. It makes a lot of difference. So, I think having your ears to the ground all the time, being aware of things which are happening, pulling out things which could influence, it could disrupt, or it could make a change in our way of looking at, and hence constantly learning a lot of new things. Because finally, earlier, if you knew did your MBA, you came and you joined, you could go on. But today every day you have to learn, and something new is happening. Something new is happening. So you need to have a very active learning organization all the time. So, continuously looking at that, looking at what's happening, and also looking at these trends really, because this gives you a focus, keeping very closely watching what's happening around and trying to take actions which could help you in a way. So, talking about design and technology, of course, that is the convergence which is really the way forward, is what I strongly believe. And today, now, the way AI is coming up, AI is developed. People say that AI can replace designers. That I don't believe, because AI can do a lot of things. I don't disagree. AI can, I'm sure, help us do a lot of routine stuff. While we are also working on it. We have not seen some fabulous results as yet. But what is original and what is never been done before will be done by designers, and so there will be a difference. But it's important to keep track of what's happening. And I do believe that there will be a lot of influence coming from technology on design, and it's happening. So we are exploring and experimenting a lot of things right now.
Right. So you've mentioned that a learning organization, right? So on a personal level, what is something that you learned and you unlearned recently, if I may ask?
Okay. Recently. Okay. See, the point is, I believe in continuous learning, because for of us have to continuously learn a lot of things. So that is the learning. That to learn continuously is my learning.
Right.
But what to unlearn is, once you've learned something, it doesn't matter that, if it is irrelevant today, I am willing to relook at it. I'm willing to modify or junk my own learning today. That is the new unlearning part of the learning, which I'm willing to do. Let go of it and look at it from a today's perspective, which is relevant today. It is very difficult to let go of what you have done before and what has worked for you before. And you believe that that will work today, but not necessary. So I think that I'm learning. I'm still, that part is still happening. It's not fully happened, but I think all of us to grow need to do that. So I'm willing to let go of my own learnings. That is a new unlearning which is happening.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And to know that, a person at your position is saying this will send out a very positive message to a lot of young designers who listen to this podcast and out there also, because unlearning is, in my experience and whatever little experience I've had, it's the most difficult thing that I had to do. Engineering to design was a switch for me.
Yeah. I can totally empathize with that. It is not easy. But we all have to do in today's world when things are moving so fast. So many things are happening. We have to learn to unlearn.
Right. Absolutely. So before we close this episode, I want to ask one question dedicated to specifically, this is from my own experience. So I have conversations with many parents, many students in school. I go to schools, talk about design. So one common thing that an Indian parent asks is, design में scope है क्या? मैं अभी अपने बच्चे को, should I even let them pursue bachelor's level pe design, or should I let them do it at a master's level? Because if I go for a regular course, they'll have a fallback option.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, I think that is totally changing now. I think, we as parents need to look at what's happening, things happening around us. So with all of, this whole Make in India initiative, and also with all that happened, China and all that, lot of manufacturing is now focused towards India. And there is a big program and a lot of investments going in. So if you got to manufacture in India, the precursor to that is to design in India. So I am looking at it as a huge opportunity. And I think the designers, the design fraternity, and even the education part of it, I feel the number of designers how many numbers we need is just not available in our country.
Yeah.
Talent is not there. In fact, this is the right time to be, because everybody has understood that, and especially if you're going to be manufacturing in India, it got to be designed in India. Otherwise, you're not getting the overall, the cost and all of that in place as an end result. And we need to build a very strong ecosystem of, doing all of this together. So it is definitely the right time. There is a lot of focus from everybody. And I think this is the time the design fraternity should really stand up and make an impact. So my advice to these youngsters who are interested in design and to parents is there is a huge scope. See, look at and design has so many different fields to it. It is the product design, the space design, and look at the digital India revolution. With digital India happening, the number of websites and portals and all of that, you need so many UI UX designers. Yeah. So design has got it's actually there are many disciplines, and a whole lot of them need to be developed within our country and there is huge potential. I have no doubt about it. And we have dearth of good design talent. And I think we need more design schools. We need more students. We need more talent, and it needs to be deployed well in the country. Is certainly the way I'm seeing it.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I absolutely love this conversation. I think I've made a lot of notes also during the conversation. Interesting things that I really picked up was demonstrating your passion. Demonstrating, I think the word, I really like that word. I've never thought of it that way. So it's really, really amazing.
Especially for design, Sanjay, I can tell you, you can keep saying, I do great design, but I don't think words matter. Yeah. You do it, you put it, you show success, then there is no second question. Things just move. Yeah. So this is what I've believed in my career. That's how it works. You don't say it, you just demonstrate it. Yeah. Results will show the rest of the way is paid for you.
And I love the way you've used the word demonstrate, because doing and demonstrating has a lot of hard work attached to it. I don't feel it that way. But yeah, I'm absolutely grateful, and thank you for having this conversation.
Pleasure is all mine, Sanjay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you. Bye-bye. I hope the youngsters will find some inspiration in this. Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.
That was Revathi Kant, Chief Design Officer at Titan. I'm sure you enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure you made notes. I'm sure you will definitely be applying whatever you picked up from this conversation into your daily life. And I'm sure this will have a positive impact in your design practice, education, or design understanding. And feel free to share this conversation with people who might find it useful. That being said, guys, if you like listening to these episodes, please review on Spotify. It will encourage us to create more content, encourage me to create more content. And if you think that there are some topics that you want me to address, please drop a line on Instagram. You can reach out to me on Instagram @Sanjay Reddy 144, which is SanjayReddy 144. I'm super active there. If you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, same goes there, Sanjay Reddy 144. And if you want to have a session, a one-on-one session, you can reach out to me on ADP list. I'll drop all the links below. You can schedule a session and we can have a conversation. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.